Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We now are going towards the elimination match, which will be between Mr. TerrOr and Mr. SPX, the TVT. So with us is our TVT specialist, Mr. Naoken. Welcome, Mr. Naoken.
Yeah, Terran vs. Terran has changed so much over the past decade, 2 decades, that this is probably my worst matchup. It's just so much different than I remember. You see a lot of Tank Vulture, but I'm looking to see what builds that these players are going to pull out, because SPX reminds me of Dandy, and we see Dandy use a lot of gasless expand, factory into 2-port, but what is TerrOr going to do? He uses a whole variety of builds, and that's one of the reasons I like Terran vs. Terran is there's no set standard build. You can have not just different timings, you can have different unit comps like Tank Gull, Pure Goliath, Pure Vulture, Tank Vulture, Wraith, whole bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So I'm excited for this matchup. Yeah,
there is no one
literally almost everything, except for Marine Medic. Well, if you watch Boxer play, sometimes he even plays Marine Medic. So it has the full gauntlet. Every single unit can be used in this matchup.
Yeah, and even battle cruisers are semi-standard. And back until 1 year ago, when battle cruisers came in the TVZ, we didn't have opportunity to see battle cruisers in any other matchup. So thanks to TVT, we were still familiar with this unit.
Yeah, if it goes that late, Terran versus Galactic. Battle cruisers are very good, but I mean, we're approaching 40 minutes. So I don't know if we really want to see battle cruisers. I'm not sure chat really wants to see battle cruisers, because that means we have an epically long game, which is possible on maps like Circuit Breaker. Both players can get 8 bases. So it is a real possibility that we could have battle cruiser versus battle cruiser, but yeah, you never know.
Yeah, so the map pool for this TVT will be Circuit Breaker, Sylphid, and then Eddy. I don't know what to think in TVT about these maps. All of them are macro-oriented. The only difference I can see is that Sylphid is 3 players map, so it can be a little bit more, how could I say it, dynamic.
Yeah, so this is definitely going to be the most standard game. Circuit Breaker, there's nothing really about this map that's weird, but Eddy, you have to remember there's a high ground, random high grounds throughout the map, and Terran vs. Terran, of course you have to have a good build, but it is highly reliant on good positioning. If you are out of position one time, the other Terran can get into a very punishing position, and then it snowballs. So Eddy's going to be a good map. You're going to have to look for really good positioning there, but also Sylphid, they got to have really good positioning in that map also, because it's a 3-player map. So if somebody gets a favorable position on Sylphid, they're just flat out going to have access to more bases.
Yeah.
And Terran versus Terran is hard to break out a big Tank Vulture contains. So unfortunately, we're going to get Circuit Breakers, which is the most standard map, because I would have liked Eddy and Sylphid to be first, because then you're going to see the more crazy games, like people literally fighting over this one ramp or ledge. I have to have it, because if I don't have it, I'm going to lose.
Yeah, that's true. That's because on Sylphid there is no such thing like map split, because there are free bases, so they will always fight for this second respawn.
Yep.
Okay, so if you're ready, Mr. Naoken, we can go directly to game number 1.
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay, so let's go. Game number 1 on Circuit Breaker, SPX versus TerrOr. Unfortunately, the loser will be eliminated. So, spawning on the bottom right position as a yellow Terran, we are having Mr. SPX.
And in the top left, we've got one of the best South American Terrans. It is TerrOr. Well, Zero, we've got cross spawns, and that's usually going to be your best chance of getting a long game. So there is a possibility that we could see battle cruisers if it gets to that point. Also, Circuit Breaker is the most standard out of all maps, so it's hard to get punished like you could on Eddie and Sylphid. But look at this, TerrOr. This is going to be what I thought it was going to be an 8 racks, but he's building a depot in his base.
So maybe it will be just for scouting, for faster scouting.
Yeah. So. Oh, whoa. So we're going to have a proxy 1 racks, but...
Oh, so he's going for 66% chance, right?
Yeah, it's 66% chance that SPX is on this side of the map, and I was talking about it all day long, that I see SPX play versus Dandy a lot. And players like Dandy love to gasless expand, but in my experience versus SPX, he doesn't gasless expand. And he's not going to be doing that. He's going to go for a 12 gas. This proxy racks would have been great versus gasless because you would have been able to reinforce so quickly. A lot of times when you're going gasless, you're cutting Marines to get your command center up faster. But unfortunately, TerrOr is not going to be going up against gasless. Now, this isn't a huge deal because TerrOr is going to have his racks so close that once he decides that he's safe to Marine Vulture harassment, he can float it into the main and see exactly what SPX is doing.
Yeah, that's really good. I really like this option from TerrOr because, like, I saw a interview with Cadenzi, and he, like, there was a question: what is the main difference between foreigners and the pro Koreans? And her answer was that the foreigners are not like, and they don't understand scouting as good as Koreans, and I really like that TerrOr now decided to go for this. But he's building a lot of Marines over there. I thought that he will go just for floating and scouting from that position.
Yeah, well, he hasn't scouted SPX just yet. You can't really harass with 1. I expect him to build... He probably would have built 3 if he saw that there was an expansion, but now that he doesn't, he does lift it immediately. He is just going to float it. He's probably going to turn these Marines around. Oh, no, he's going to try and put on some pressure. But I don't really think this is going to do much. Also, SPX has scouted TerrOr, so he knows that it's not like there's an 8 racks. But this SCV, look, it has drawn all the Marines away from the ramp, and TerrOr's going to walk in here and kill this SCV. Wow, the factory just finished.
That's always
a bit
something.
lucky for SPX.
That's always something to kill the SCV, but yeah, that was lucky that this factory was finished.
Also, this triggered out a 3rd Marine for SPX, and really 2 is the number you kind of want as Terran. There's really no benefit to having a 3rd one. So this was a nice move from TerrOr. And there goes the command center for SPX. There's the command center for TerrOr. But the one thing that TerrOr doesn't have is that now he's got to be worried. Well, he's scouting now and he sees the Marines have stayed, but if they weren't there, he would have to be worried about SPX sending more than 1 Vulture, whereas SPX doesn't necessarily have to be worried about a Marine Vulture attack because he knows that, well, the racks is right here, of course. But I like what SPX is doing behind it. He is just playing standards. There's the 2nd factory. He's getting an add-on. Now the real question is what's the purpose of this add-on? Is it going to be speed? Are we going to have tanks? And we have TerrOr with a hidden starport at the corner of his base.
And there is already like this 3 or 5 even supply advantage for SPX. Is it because TerrOr was cutting SCVs while doing this pressure, or because I don't see where else these supplies can do?
It feels like TerrOr must have misstepped a little bit and cut some SCVs because he only has 2 Vultures, I guess 3, 4. How many Vultures does TerrOr have? Well, I guess it's maybe only a 2 or 3 supply advantage or SCV advantage for SPX, but yeah, 2 or 3 at this point in the game can add up pretty well, a lot. So I'm not sure where TerrOr blundered, but we do have mass Vulture coming out from SPX, so this is going to be 3-fact play.
Versus a starport play.
Yeah, and we have tank starport from TerrOr. Now, TerrOr's army is going to be better once it reaches high numbers, but in the early phases, SPX is the one that's going to have map control. His units cost less. He'll be able to put mines everywhere. It's going to make TerrOr be worried about moving out, and that's going to allow SPX to possibly take a faster third base. Is he going to put down more factories? It also forces out a fast academy from TerrOr, and since his econ is not as good as SPX is right now, these are all investments that you don't necessarily want to make in the early game. You would rather be putting down more factories or building another command center. So this is going to slow down TerrOr quite a bit. So from the early stages, I'm already liking SPX's position quite a bit, and I like how he's pushing back the racks. He's got so many vultures that he's hiding, and now they're just all of a sudden going to show up. And look at the defense from TerrOr. If we just straight up run through, there's only two in the bunker and one tank.
Yeah, that's not the biggest. Oh, but he will scout it with the vulture, so maybe if he will be quick enough, he will make.
Well, he needs to close it up real quick. And there goes that SCV.
Oh, he's doing it. Oh, but he can snipe it. Oh, but now the vultures took some damage because of this engineering bay.
Yeah, so while he's killing so many SCVs, look at the supply plummet from TerrOr. The entire SCV line has died. Now, this is a big commitment from SPX, but you look, TerrOr has one factory. It's not like Terran can just counterattack with one tank and two vultures, right? So SPX isn't necessarily even worried about getting counterattacked, and TerrOr's econ is terrible. Also, he's rebuilding this engineering bay. Engineering bay is useless versus vultures, but because of how low his unit count is, he's obligated to build something. And now SPX has mines everywhere. He's gotten his armory done, and TerrOr two rays, they can kill somewhat fast, but not that fast. He may get like 3 or 4 SCVs, but once these Goliaths come out, he's gonna be shut down pretty easily.
Yeah, I think 3 or 4 it will be not enough. Like, I really like that move from SPX. He killed so many SCVs, and the vultures are, he can reproduce them so quickly because he have 3 factories. It's as you said at the beginning, there are different styles of TVT, and both players are playing a different style. I really like that.
Yep. Now there was a scan for SPX, and it did not manage to kill any of the race, but he smartly has put up turrets at both of his bases. Will fend off the race for now. Now, this is really going to come down to, does SPX recognize the lead he has? Because if he does, he should probably think about expanding, or at least put all add-ons onto his factories. And if he does that, he's going to have a huge tank count pretty fast. He knows that he's got map control at this point, and because of how important positioning is in Terran versus Terran, if he can get some tanks to where those mines are, right outside the bridges, that's going to be so hard for TerrOr to ever break out of.
And because SPX knows that TerrOr have possibility to make dropship, that's why he's scouting so nicely. He have units all over the place. The mines are giving him vision of such a huge area of the map. I'm liking that so much, that because like he's more safety because of the scouting thing. He's trying to control this game.
Yeah, and I'm taking a look at TerrOr's SCV count. He's got about 9 on minerals at the natural. The main has like 13. Now, how many does SPX have? He's got a considerable amount more SCVs, maybe like 6 to 7 more, and that's a lot of econ for him to have. He's going to be skyrocketing so high in supply. You can see it already, 82 to 57. Now, he does have vultures, which, you know, will kind of balloon your supply a little bit. But again, like I was just saying, SPX, if he can get his tanks to where those mines are, which he has gotten, look at what TerrOr has available. He can take his mineral only, but that's not even a base you want to take as Terran. He needs to get his 4th base at top middle, and then even that has a ramp that SPX may set up a contain on. And how do you ever break out of these 2 positions? Oh, that was a great movement with that tank. Gets 1 for free and 2 Goliaths. That's what he needs.
Yeah, and with the tanks, TerrOr might abuse it that if the tanks will shot to the different tanks, to his opponent tanks, the rights might just work as an upgrade, as a +2 upgrade. And I really like the add-on of the weights to the TVT. Like, it's probably one of my favorite styles to see. Of course, mass vultures are also very interesting because it's very dynamic, but overall, adding some raids to the army composition and making mass tanks is very cost-efficient way to trading if you can.
Yeah, so Tank Wraith is very good, but they're so costly that when you open like this, you're basically telling the opponent that, hey, you have map control for the next, few minutes or so, but I'm gonna have the better unit count. So as long as SPX can take advantage of having map control, like what he's doing here, taking bases, even though his unit comp isn't as good, he's gonna slowly get his unit comp up to match TerrOr's, and then TerrOr with the lower econ is going to have a hard time busting out of these contains that SPX has already set up. I am a bit surprised that SPX is still only on 3 factories. He did lose his barracks, but he really does need to get up to 5 or 6, because look at TerrOr, he's at 5 factories.
You're right. That's why the supplies are getting closer and closer. And TerrOr is constantly denying SPX from taking the 6 o'clock base. He's still killing this STV. I really like that move. This command center would be done already if he wouldn't do that.
Yeah, that's a key base for SPX to take. And again, what I was talking about earlier, SPX has started to set up a contain at top middle, but you have to be careful setting up contains like this, because when you're the containing player, if you overdo it, these 2 tanks could potentially die for free. If you notice, there's no Goliaths here. And TerrOr, he showed race. We don't see any left, I guess. But if he had those 3 or 4 race, he could kill these tanks for free. And then that would be 2 tanks that that SPX doesn't have. And TerrOr, look at his army. It's like 15 tanks and 2 vultures. Whereas SPX's army is 4 tanks and 3 Goliaths. Really, if TerrOr just does a round of vultures, he can bust out of this so easily.
Yeah, this is huge army compared to what SPX have, because SPX army is just split all over the map. And now, he just needs to be a little bit but it's still siege mode is helping a lot.
Yeah, but you can see how even just 4 tanks, well, I guess 6 tanks, there's tanks on the side. Oh my god, a huge tank hit, killing 3. But you can see how such a small contain can deal with so many tanks, which is why positioning is so important. But that's another reason why SPX needed to get these 5 factories up, because if he had these up a little bit faster, there's no way TerrOr would have busted out. And now TerrOr has map control of his own. He just needs to start thinking about taking mid left and top middle.
Look at that, he's immediately trying to take like his half of the map. He will be happy to play the longer game.
Yeah, he's going for the more cost-efficient army. He's got mass tanks, he's already got race. Well, as I say that, SPX has started to build race of his own at bottom left. But these tanks that I thought were never going to get out onto the map have now denied bottom middle. SPX is forced to take mid right. And TerrOr, he really should start taking mid left now. He'd be even on bases. His army is better. But this small contained TerrOr is doing in the middle of the map is now going to get cleaned up. And SPX is going to take map control. Or is he? No, I don't think he is.
Yeah, he really wanted that, but he got denied the siege mode power. And both players are getting +1. Oh! SPX is losing a lot of units, not for free. Oh, 2 tanks will die with the mine. Nicely done.
This is a battle over the middle. Both players, well, TerrOr's missed the macro round. Possibly if he had one more round of units there, he wouldn't have lost so much. But as played, TerrOr does have better map control at this point, but I am a little worried that it is taking a bit of time to get the units across the map. Also, he doesn't have complete control of the middle because vultures are still able to move around the sides from SPX. But a good deny at mid-right. The command center has still been denied. TerrOr has the mineral only, but it's really not an important base in Terran versus Terran. He needs to get mid-left.
Oh yeah, he needs the gas. He needs to start mining because like he can produce a lot of vultures, maybe a lot of Goliaths even with two refineries, but overall it would be good to have 3 because Like, look how many command center SPX is having. He just needs to saturate these bases.
Yeah, but it's gonna be hard to get to top right because TerrOr's already got tanks set up. He's got +1 weapon. He's rebuilding Race now. He's recognized that SPX has stopped building Goliath, but does he recognize that there's Race of his own for SPX? It's just one so far, whereas TerrOr has 2 starports going. And both players have their science facility, but the key upgrade is coming in for SPX. He started +2, and that allows you to start 2-shotting tanks, so TerrOr needs to get his own +2 going pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's the key upgrade in TVT, I think. +2 is so important. It's like +1 zealot weapon in PvZ.
Yeah, but there is no anti-air for SPX. We see SCVs coming out to desperately repair this tank. But I think that both players are probably going to just jump on each other. Yeah, there goes SPX trying to jump in at the top, but TerrOr instantly sieges. But if TerrOr unsieges right now and jumps on mid-right, really all those units in the middle of the map are out of his position. He could deny SPX's mid-right base.
Yeah, definitely, and he's clearing all the tanks over here almost for free. There is first Goliath coming just to save them, so he will evacuate this right, but he killed like 2 or 3 tanks for free. That's really impressive, and if we cut him from this middle base, as you said, it will be extremely powerful move from TerrOr, because this is the base which gives SPX economical advantage over TerrOr.
Yeah, and the supply for TerrOr is huge. We don't know how TerrOr got to 145, but he's up 30 supply over SPX, and you can see both this is why I love Terran versus TerrOr. Both players fighting over position, not necessarily trying to kill one another, but just to get into a favorable position. And TerrOr, he's setting up his defense like he wants to take top right. He doesn't know SPX already has it. Luckily for him, SPX hasn't really mined from there, but a big vulture attack to mid right, gonna kill a lot of the SCVs.
Yeah. Oh my god, the raids are still doing a job. There is 4 more raids close to the starports of a TerrOr, so he's having 6 overall. And denying mining from this base is very important for him, and I still don't know how he managed to get for the supply advantage. Having less base.
I don't either. TerrOr does need to get another base though. Still no mid right. Okay, there's the command center floating to mid left, and the vultures are gonna get cleaned up. It's not losing the SCVs was not really a huge loss, I guess, because we have so many command centers. But SPX also needs to get another base because it's nice to have 4 base, but this contain on the left side is still alive. I guess he's got a contain of his own at top middle. I'm surprised with having so many vultures and tanks set up from TerrOr, he didn't go up and try and kill top middle, but he's going to kill top right now.
Oh yeah, you're right. There are only 3 tanks over there with a siege tank, and it would be a very important base for him, especially that he's not mining from the main base. Fortunately, he's going for this 9 o'clock base, which is the same as 12 o'clock, but he could go both if he just wanted to.
SPX needs, I mean, I know he has mid-right, so he's up in bases, but he's getting strangled at this point because other than those 4 bases, it doesn't seem like he has anywhere to go. Well, his best move is got to be top right now because there's only 5 tanks to defend. TerrOr's slightly out of position. He has so much at his rally point, streaming across the map. This is probably the worst direction SPX could go right now. That's almost all of the defense of TerrOr is on the left side.
Yeah, it's also a very important base for a TerrOr, so TerrOrs know that he should defend it, and oh, the siege mode is very dangerous, and the army composition seems to be stronger from SPX because he's having Goliaths plus the tanks, and TerrOr managed to make the tanks plus vultures, so he's spending gas only on tanks. So that's probably because of the raids. So this adding raids to his army composition is just like adding carriers to the PvT army composition when you are forcing TerrOr to make a lot of Goliaths and adding it, not letting TerrOr to make pure vultures plus tanks. So it's working well for TerrOr, this adding the raids to his army composition.
So SPX has just secured, I guess, the middle to make sure that he has somewhat of a contain there, but he needs to bust top right because TerrOr's taken almost the entire side the entire left side. Here he goes. He's finally going to bust top middle. There's not many tanks here. This was the move that SPX needed to do. A big vulture run by to the... No, he's going to go into the main? Don't know about these vultures, but regardless, this is what SPX had to do. He had to get top right.
Yeah, I really like that move. He already have a command center there, so all he needs to do is just to transfer STVs, but he's constantly losing STVs. TerrOr is like harassing him like crazy. He killed so many STVs with these vultures.
And if we look at TerrOr's money, it's very, 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 very low. SPX has an okay bank. It's not anything extraordinary. Well, now it's gone. But TerrOr, he does have all of bottom left. He's getting crazy at this point. Also, again, these movements from SPX is exposing him to counterattacks from TerrOr. I think the next time SPX makes a move to top right, TerrOr needs to just plow through the middle and set up a huge contain outside the bridges. There goes SPX to the top. TerrOr, please unsiege and go through the middle.
He's going, like these siege tanks are not in the range of the rest of them, so TerrOr still is keeping right side, top right, like under contain, I think.
Yeah, and that's all you have to do is just deny the base. Let Terran mine out. The main and natural, I was going to say it's almost mined out for SPX, but the natural isn't even being mined at all. That vulture run by that TerrOr just did has shut down an entire base of SPX. If we look at his mid-right base, he's oversaturated on his minerals at the top side. So those vultures that I thought were going to be kind of pointless have made a huge impact. And SPX is in desperation mode. He's got to make something happen because he has no access to top right. TerrOr already has bottom left. And he's got this army that can't move into mass tanks that easily. Well, at top right he can now because there's 3 tanks versus about 20. Yeah, he's got to clear this.
Yeah, he will just clear it the easy way. A move. He lost some tanks, but it was still pretty cost efficient. And yeah, TerrOr will clear the middle, the top middle at least, I think.
Yeah, he's setting up to clear that base, so he's going to have 7 base versus SPX 4 base right now. The command center is still alive at top right. SPX trying to get his 5th base going. I mean, this is still anyone's game because it's so hard to attack into tank vulture that the longer the game stalls out, the better it is for SPX. He's got the he doesn't have the upgrade advantage, but he still has +2 versus +2. The small amount of units that SPX has sitting on the high ground is killing a lot of tanks from TerrOr.
Yeah.
But what I don't know what both players should do at this point. I feel like TerrOr should start thinking about going into battle cruisers or transitioning into the super late game.
Oh, but he's having so many raids right now. TerrOr is it's like more than 12 already. And oh, there are some Goliaths in the army composition, but in TVT you can always find some lonely tanks to kill. So these raids might be very useful for him. But it's also taking a lot of supply.
Yeah, the Wraiths are so good in this matchup. The player that goes Goliath has to balance their Goliath count just perfectly. If you ever don't have enough Goliaths, they're all going to die, which means the Wraiths are then going to start killing tanks. And then also you have to spread them out. Just because Goliaths are strong in one area of the map doesn't mean there's more Goliaths somewhere else. For example, in the middle, look, there's 8 Goliaths. But if the Wraiths went all to top right, that's 8 tanks that TerrOr would kill for free. So it's very hard for SPX to balance this. Now, these Wraiths are banking so high, and I hear scans constantly going off, but I don't think SPX knows about these mass Wraiths.
He's even upgrading them. They will be well upgraded Wraiths, and I like this move overall because like Wraith is having only 8 damage to the ground, and if you will add 1 to it, it's out of in percentages. It's more than 10%. So. It's very good move for him, if he's building such a high number of ranks.
Yeah, and he is getting +1, and those Goliaths are still out in the middle of the map. Here come those Wraiths. Where are they going to go? He's got so many, and top right is just tons of free units for Terror. That's exactly where he's going. There's only 2 Goliaths. And this is going to open up a pathway for those tanks at top middle to set a contain into top right. And if Terror sets up a contain at top right, SPX is dead. He's going to have access to no other bases.
Oh my god, he's killing everything. He's building so many turrets, but he can kill all the turrets with the raids. He don't care about it. He shouldn't care about them. They have +1 upgrades, so they are basically mutants.
Yeah, so many raids, and it draws all the Goliaths up here. And these raids are very fast. They don't necessarily have. I don't think he should fight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he needs to run. Just run and go find another area with mass tanks somewhere and go pick them off because you know where all the Goliaths are. Oh, he hated that Wraith. Ended up shooting one of his own, but now where did the Wraiths go? He's now shown the Wraiths. They're very expensive.
Oh yeah, they are. But Terror is having such a huge bank. Like, what you are doing in EVT when you have such a big bank? You should add like 5 starports and produce mass battle cruisers. This is the best option, or what are the options for Mr. Hero right now?
For Terror should just go tank Wraith with battle cruiser mixed in. Here come a lot of those tanks I was just talking about. Oh, the Goliaths are killing so many Wraiths!
Yeah, you shouldn't fight them with the Goliath power. Firepower.
SPX will hold for now, but Terror has a 60 supply lead. He isn't really mining bottom left that well. So you can think of it as not really... Oh my gosh, he killed all the tanks! Now he's pushing through. He cannot... SPX cannot let Terror set up the contain here. He can't do it.
Oh yeah, it would be disaster for SPX. He badly needs this income. He badly needs to stabilize and to mine from these 2 bases because Terror was constantly interrupting him. And he look at the mineral fields. They are almost not untouched, at least on this top base. Also in this natural on the top base. It's the harassment of Terror was so brilliant that he didn't let SPX to mine from this base, and he himself mined almost 1/3 of his
Zero.
second half of the map.
Zero, look at the natural of SPX.
Oh yeah, there is still money there.
It's still not mining. SPX is literally on 2 bases despite having 6 base because he's not really mining that well at top right or the natural at top right. These vultures, holy moly, the refinery has 1600 gas at the natural. So that's a lot of lost gas that SPX could have had. He could, like, we see tons of vultures coming out right now. That could have been 16 tanks.
Oh yeah. That could have been, you're right. And yeah, he's not having a gas. Even starting mining only from this gas in the natural would be nice, right?
Oh my gosh. Well, Terror doesn't have to do anything. He can just sit. Look at his army. Do you see anything other than a tank and vulture? There's literally no other units than tank, vulture, or tank, wraith, SCV. Oh, he's got 4 vultures at bottom. But look how many tanks he has at mid left.
Oh yeah! Oh, that's good. That's nice. I like so many tanks. And +2 upgrades. Like, is there a difference between +2 or +3 for the ground? I mean, in TVT, I don't think it's that big of a difference, right?
Well, with +3, you're going to be one-shotting. I think you're one-shotting vultures, but yeah, really no difference. The main issue is the +2 versus tanks. And just what do you... this is... For, people know that is mini tank. Yes, the boxer quote. Like, this is actually mini tank. Like, this is 4 groups of tanks. Holy...
Oh, and he's focusing the barracks. That's really weird to lose like 3 rides just to focus the barracks. And the bank from SPX is growing very high. I don't know how he managed to do it, despite not mining from the natural and from these bases. Yeah, but he just needs to A move right now, right? I mean, TerrOr. What you can do with... Oh, you should take some SCVs to tank some fire and then just A move everything. This is my recipe.
It seems like that's what he's gonna do. He has just so much. Here come vultures. The vulture is not what you want versus Mass. He's not even sieging.
Oh my god. He's doing it bad manner mode and he might be punished for that. Oh, maybe not. He just have too much. But I would like to see TerrOr before this attack to add like 5 or even 10 more factories just to reproduce these tanks very quickly, because he's producing them only from 6 factories, and look how many starports there are in the main base of a TerrOr. He's just making mass mass raids. 2 raids. This is the best upgrades of flying units Terran I've seen in a year probably. Maybe from Sparkle games.
Yeah, Terror played it basically how you're supposed to play it. Is you just set up positional advantage the entire time. The other Terran mines out. You do have to be worried about SPX getting up the super comp, but Terror didn't let that happen. And now he's got 100 supply advantage over SPX. Still, he's like not even really mining bottom left Terror. So this is essentially full bases for him.
Yeah, and if the game goes long enough, it should be better for him. Because he should have more money if he will keep trading the cost efficiency he's doing right now. Because overall, I think it was pretty cost efficient trade in the middle for him.
Oh yeah, it was cost efficient for sure for SPX, but does it matter at this point? There's just so much from Terror. He's got 12 race. I see SPX is trying to make race of his own. He's got 8. He's building Valkyries. That's what he should be doing. But he doesn't have any upgrades, whereas Terror has 2/2 on his own. He's going to get +3 pretty soon. And you can see what he's doing with these races. He's just suiciding him because he knows that he just needs to kill the tanks. And once he kills the tanks,
there is no tank production over here. Yeah, and now just A move. That's brilliant. Shouldn't every Terran do that? It looks so easy, but actually you never have that big of an advantage. I really like that. Oh, SPX is trying to move out and he's clearing tanks of TerrOr on his own part of the map, but he's losing much more important position right now. Losing this base is almost disaster.
Yeah, this is it. He's not going to be mining really after this base goes down. It's just insane amounts of tanks. SPX has showed the race. Now you see Terror scrambling back, but he's got like 30 race of his own.
And they're up 2-2. They're having definitely, like, the upgrades should win this battle, I think. Pure upgrades.
Yeah, they're just so heavily upgraded. This has got to be the end. SPX just has nothing left. There it is. GG.
GG. TerrOr, despite like this beginning when he lost so many STVs to this Vulture gun by, that's impressive that he managed to win this game with such a like stable fashion.
Yeah, he was not in a great position. SPX was doing everything right in the beginning, but Terror somehow was up 50 supply with that first attack busting out. I don't know how he did it, but he recovered very well. And then you saw he played it perfectly. That's exactly what you do as Terran versus Terran. You get into a good position and you wait. Let the other player make a mistake. And that's what he did.
Yeah, exactly. And then he pulled the free trigger with 40 tanks. A move 40 tanks. That's so good.
Yes.
So that was very interesting TVT. It wasn't boring as chat says, so we are going into full best of 5. We decided to extend the TVT just for the chat.
I'm sure they're excited about that.
Yeah, and
but now we're gonna be on In the Way of an Eddy, and this, this is the map that I want to see because the vision is just so important in Terran versus Terran, and with that high ground, you're gonna see probably more explosive fights here because people are gonna be desperately trying to get high ground advantage.
I have a bad news, Mr. Nayoken. The next match will be on Sylphid. Maybe the next match will be on in the way of Andy. Yeah. So, but we still have a chance to see in the way of an Eddie, and I'm crossing my fingers just to see that.
Yeah, we could get into in the way of an Eddie. SPX looked good in the early phases, but
Yeah,
kind of just didn't go his way the rest of the game. So hopefully he can turn it around in this one.
Okay, so the map will be Sylphid. Are you ready, Mr. Nayoken?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Game number 2 between our... SPX is one game away from being eliminated, so his fans should cross fingers for him. My phone just died. RIP, my phone.
Oh, rip.
Okay, so spawning on the 12 o'clock position as a brown Terra, we are having TerrOr.
And in the bottom right, we have the purple Terran. He needs everybody's energy. It is SPX.
And Sylphid, 3 players map, which in theory should give a little bit more than dynamic game, but you can never know what TVT will bring to you. As Nayoken just realize, I think not only to me, but to all of you, that the TVT is a matchup when you can have 5 different army compositions and every one of them can work perfectly. So yeah, that's really interesting. I never look at TVT this way.
Yeah, no, certain builds have fallen out of fashion, like Goliath openers, definitely not as viable, but I've had a few games where I lose to Goliath drop, and it's pretty tilting, but what do we have here from SPX? He said, well, you proxied a barracks versus me, I can do that. We're going to have another forward barracks.
This time SPX is doing that.
Yeah, this used to be what you did in Terran versus Terran all the time, because Marine Vulture was really not a thing back then. But you have to be careful now because of how often players build tons of Vultures. They even do builds like 10-10-10. If you get caught off guard, you're not going to have many Marines to rely on in SPX's position. So he's got to be careful with this forward Rex, and Terra's going to scout him first, it seems. Now, SPX does have a fast gas of his own. He's not going command center behind it. He's doing essentially the same thing that Terra did last game.
Yeah, you're right, but is it possible that Terra will not make any Marine and just float his barracks and just go to the... No, he's making Marines, so... Because I was thinking that maybe this middle barracks can apply a lot of pressure.
It used to be that you would not build any Marines in Terran versus Terran, but now it's mandatory. And we have a slight change from Terra because he's still got 3 on gas. Oh, this SCV is going to see it though. So SPX already knows that there's going to be some type of pressure play coming in from Terra. The question is, what is it going to be? Is the SCV going to kill the Marine? No, it will not. So I personally am not a big fan of 2-port Wraith on one base, but that is a possibility. I would like Terror to put down a second factory and go for Vultures. There it is.
Oh yeah, that's a little bit hidden, but yeah, I like this factory too. And if there will be Wraiths, there will be possibility to make Goliaths, right?
Yeah, the SPX, when he sees that the gas is being mined, he's gonna most likely build an armory behind it, so that does make your race even worse. But what is going on? Because SPX, his minerals are so low.
Because he's having 5 Marines. There will be 5 Marines.
He's going for an FD push versus Terran. Now, I've seen this a couple times, but this is really not something you do very often. This is either going to win him the game, or all of his Marines are going to die, of course, and it's going to be game over because Terror just has He's got more production now. He's got 2 factories versus 1. Even I know 2 beats 1, especially when you've got a tank versus a vulture.
Yeah, 4 marines, and there will be 1 tank, but it will be... There will be no tank when the attack will happen, so there will be small timing when SPX can deal huge damage to TerrOr.
Okay. Well, it's already over.
Oh yeah,
Vulture died. That movement from TerrOr, moving his marines back, won him the game. I don't know why he did that, but he suspected that this was coming, and TerrOr lost 1 marine, and SPX lost 5 marines and 1 vulture. So that's gonna be the end. And we see SPX, he just canceled his add-on because he knows he's got to build units right now to stop this attack. But canceling the add-on means he doesn't have a tank. And vultures don't beat a tank, not without upgrades.
Huh. So, but how TerrOr knew that he can go now and apply pressure? You can read it after the build, after with which units SPX attacked him?
I don't think he necessarily expects to win. I think he's making sure that SPX didn't like expand off of this, or at least he's going to play defensive, overbuild defense. And that's what we're seeing from SPX because he's built a 3rd factory, which will help him survive, of course. But that's going to delay his command center. And here comes TerrOr. He's busting in. There's just too much. There's no way that SPX can hold this.
If he would have like maybe 2 or 3 Goliaths, it would be possible to deal with the vultures relatively easy, but oh, now we might oh, there will be no explosion because nothing popping out of the factory, but there was a possibility.
Are popping out. Here comes the first Goliath. It's gonna die. Goodbye.
Yeah. Unfortunately the Goliath died, and I think Mr. SPX, I'm saying that this is definitely unfortunately, but he will be eliminated from BSL Season 6. Yeah, but Nayoken, you should be happy that at least Terran advanced, right?
Yeah, Terran's advancing for now, but now he's going to be going up against Nagram, so we don't know if Terran's going to advance, but I do feel kind of bad for SPX because SPX is very good, but today was just, it was not his best showing. Nagram seemed to be on another level versus him, but I know that's not the case because SPX is very good, and then TerrOr made it look easy, but it's not easy.
Yeah, definitely.
SPX off today for sure. If they were to play the groups again, SPX could have made it to the next round. So unlucky for him.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mr. SPX is eliminated. I really like him, and I hope he will try to qualify for the next season if we will decide to organize it. So let's hope that he will not be as sad that he will just leave StarCraft. He should practice more after these games.
Yeah, I think SPX has played in most of the BSLs, right? I consistently see his name in BSL. I'm pretty sure, so I'm sure he'll be back, and he'll be looking to get revenge and make it to the round of 8.
Yeah, he qualified for the previous season too, and he won with the round of 24 groups, and then he was qualified with the crazy group round of 16 with Koget, Trutach, and Marvin. So yeah, that was also pretty hard group, also group C from him, but yeah, he's constantly on top 16 of the BSL, so that's really impressive.
Yeah, but unfortunately, again, getting knocked out in the top 16. But now we've got TerrOr versus Nagram.
Yeah, exactly. TerrOr versus Nagram, and this is the advancement match. Winner of that will advance to the round of 8 and will secure the prize pool, $25 prize pool, and bigger prize pool, the pride of being top 8 BSL player.
Yes, that's all that matters. Don't care about the money. Just get me in the top 8, get me in the top 4.
That's right. That's the approach I like, and so we will be there with you, boys and girls, in 2 or 3 minutes. Don't go anywhere.